Permaculture is a new word because it was invented in the late 1970s. So it's relatively new. It's like 40 years old, more or less, a bit more. Um, and it means permanent agriculture. It started with that contraption of two words, permanent and agriculture. But now it means permanent culture, because it started with agriculture because really our basic needs of food, water and clean air and shelter um, are connected with agriculture. We need to have a permanent agriculture if we want to have a society that can survive. But then we saw that the principles and the practices of permaculture also apply to other areas of our knowledge, like economy, for instance. There are different ways of organizing our economy, different ways of organizing our activity as a society that are culturally more appropriate than what we do today. I mean, when I say we are part of this human family that doesn't need to have flags, and it doesn't need to have religious beliefs. You know, behind all that, there's just one big human family. And sometimes we don't get along that well, and sometimes in some places we don't respect each other as we should, and some of our flaws as human beings come very obvious. And I think permaculture means then the permanence of our culture, and that's what it was meant to be from the beginning. When I moved to Australia, I heard of permaculture and went to look for it and found the founder of permaculture, Bill Mollison, was recognized as the father of permaculture. And I went to do a course with him. I went to study with him, and got really moved and transformed by the simplicity of the concept, and at the same time the power of the concept. Immediately, like when I spent some time with Bill Mollison in a beautiful natural place in Australia, I decided that that's what I wanted to do the rest of my life, and I have been doing it for 30 years. That was in 1994, and now we are in 2024. Anyone can start practicing permaculture first by trying to learn a bit about it, to understand what is it. Is it something new? Is it science? Some people just hear a new word and they naturally get turned away because it's a new word. Other people feel curious about it. But you can start practicing permaculture by simply accepting that that's a very old knowledge. It's knowledge that is being used for generations, traditional communities, indigenous communities, and is also new ways of looking at that knowledge under the light of science, and giving practical methods, practical solutions for our daily problems. So anybody can do permaculture anywhere by starting by changing lifestyle, making different choices, understanding. I think a lot of people feel confused about the way the world is today. Looks like we are, in a way, looks like everything is already organized and set up, and at the same time we seem to be going in the wrong direction. So it's good to learn about permaculture, and not to put inside any box in particular. It's not necessarily gardening. You don't have to do gardening if that's not what you want to do, and you still can do permaculture by doing other things. But you can do gardening too. You can start a garden with a different view of what a garden is, or you can work in wherever profession you already work. You can continue what you do, like making movies or building homes or working in a company, but with a different approach, a different set of values, and maybe a different vision for your own life. This is how people could start doing permaculture, reflecting about their own life individually. I think the limitations are in the imagination of people. It's what you can imagine as good. I think what we have created is many different ways of limiting people's imagination, and that's an external creation. So I don't think permaculture in itself is limited. People like to look in those terms, but I think what's really limited, it's our imagination, our capacity to create systems that sustain themselves and it sustains our population. Sometimes people say, oh, that's impossible. And most of the time they means that's not permissible, but not impossible. You know, I think we need to analyze all our rules and all our conditionings and all our regulations and all the limiting factors that we have created, so that we think we are doing the correct way of organizing our culture, and give more space and more freedom to imagination. I really have all my hopes in the younger generations that come, because they always come with more freedom and more capacity to create and invent new ways of doing things. They don't need to call it permaculture. They can call whatever they want. It's not about that. It's about how can we live on this earth in harmony between ourselves and with all the living things around us. It shouldn't be too complicated, but we seem to have a limited imagination to visualize this world. I'm sitting here looking at this beautiful landscape, and all I can see is the potential of an incredible harmony between all living things working together. And at the same time, I see damage, I see mistakes that have been made, I see greed, and I see things that they have no place in a harmonic society, in a harmonic world. Can permaculture be profitable? Well, the short answer is yes. But I don't know what you mean exactly by profitable. This sounds like a question that comes already from a box of thinking. I don't really think on those terms. You know, I can tell you, I do permaculture for 30 years. And actually this year, it's been 30 years that I teach permaculture, and I have been teaching this every year. This is my job. I teach permaculture and I apply permaculture in my designs, in farms, in landscapes. And I have done this in every continent of the planet. Now, am I a profitable person? I don't know. I'm still alive. I'm still surviving. I still can meet my needs doing permaculture for other people and for myself and in our backyard. And so there are many other people doing the same. There are many other people doing, and there are people selling food from permaculture farming. Okay. But there are also people creating technologies. It's one of the things I have done as well in the past. Inventing new tools. That's also permaculture. Inventing solutions. Getting new systems organized. Organizing new economic ways of living better. And maybe profit is not really the word for those things. You know, maybe happiness can be a better word than profit. It all depends on what we interpret the words. You would implement permaculture in any environment, urban or rural, the same way. You know, it's the same way. You're going to connect components, connect functions. You're going to make everything more functional. You're going to use your space in a more productive, intensive way. You're going to copy what nature does. What would nature do in that space? What does nature do in an urban space when you don't destroy it? Nature occupy it with living things, with living organisms, and every time more complex. and they become more complex, and the interactions become more complex and more productive, and they store solar energy. Sunlight is stored in plants, and animals come and eat those plants, and other animals come into that space and eat some animals as well. And this is all a way of storing solar energy into organic matter. This is what nature does. This is what you can do. There are techniques that you can use to do exactly that. Increase the amount of biomass, the amount of living matter in any given space. Could be a very small space, could be a large space. It doesn't matter. You can do it anywhere, in any climate as well. Everything is a wow moment. It's like walking into this landscape and seeing this 2,000-year-old olive tree. It's still producing olives. And we are actually eating the olive oil from a tree that is been producing olives for 2,000 years. And down there, a hill there, it was a battle. As far as I heard, the Hannibal battle was there. That's where it happened. So these three have actually witnessed a Middle Ages battle, and it has witnessed a lot of other things. And it was actually a cultivated tree. It was planted here in a row by early settlers of this region here. All of this is wow. All of this is impressive to me. If you look at the origin of things, if you look at the significance of everything around us, we don't need anything else to be wow about. It's all happening all the time around us. You know? Nature never stopped to impress me. I'm always impressed. A message to the world. Well, I'm not much of a messenger. I think let's just, first of all, let's cancel these apocalypse that everybody seems to be painting. Cancel that. Cancel the apocalypse and start building the future. I think that's the best message we can do. So forget the fear, forget the things that people are teaching you how to fear. You know, forget that. Reach inside yourself and find that infinite courage to make your future reality in front of you.